Well, there it is. So, okay, you're going to get the full ceremony. I'm not going to deny you just because you're the last one. It's all right. Here it is. Here is your magic post-it note. So you get the same thing. I'm not aware. I wasn't aware of the solar flares, Chantal. Oh, look who it is. Look. Look, dear Pisces. Here it is. This is you. Your moment has arrived. Okay? This is it. The shelf life of these post-it notes is very short and sweet and beautiful, as you know. And it's over. Toodaloo. Now we just move on to the reading itself. Yep. Love Tribers at home, minding her own business. Thank you very much. Chantal is here, even including surviving the solar flares. Okay, Love Triber, I will have to. Can you type it in and let us know, please, what is the Schumann resonance and why is it fluctuating? I'm very curious. I am extremely curious, by the way. Okay, so let's just say cheers and welcome to the November season for everybody, including Pisces. It's just Tarot Lumination having a small, delightful beverage. We're going to dive right in, okay? Greetings, dear Pisces. This one is for you. It's your general report, 2019, November that is, and it's from Tarot Lumination. We're going to have 3 little sections to the report of things about love and relationship, things about challenges, okay, and something like an oracle to polish it all off, okay? So this is for everybody, and I'm just going to give the same notes for you guys. It's a little different for each person because of the way the sacred geometry affects you. At the very beginning, I like to think that we have a Scorpio new moon vibe over here, simply because we had the new moon, Scorpio, at the very tippy end of October, and so it's only just starting to pick up its energy and lift up to the full moon in the middle of November. So on the November 1st, the moon is actually in Capricorn, but that's okay because it goes Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, so it's only a few days apart. So, dear Pisces, lucky for you, that's a very compatible, harmonious energy. Scorpio and Pisces energy typically is very harmonious. So let's take advantage of that. 2 weeks later, you come to the November 12th full moon when the moon is in Taurus. And again, lucky for you, Pisces, the Taurus energy tends to be very harmonious, very supportive. Now, there's a lot of other stuff going on, as you can see here, but I'm not going to really talk about it here. These are more for like personal readings and things. We should note that Mercury is retrograde, but then again, you know, we should all be, you know, we'll just deal with it. Just be very, very careful in terms of how we speak and how we listen. What you're saying, who you're saying it to, why you're saying it, when you say it, and where you say it, and the same thing from the communications coming to you. It's so easy to make mistakes and put what's the expression? Put your foot in your mouth, or for someone else to put their foot in their mouth. And anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. So the first 2 weeks are from here to here, okay? And then 2 weeks later, you have to integrate everything that you learned and understood during the big chunk of Scorpio season here. And then, which happens to be up in your 9th house, by the way, so that's kind of fun, kind of exciting. But then the things shift, okay? Towards the end of the month, around 22nd, the sun enters Sagittarius. So that's a little bit challenging, and then the new moon in Sagittarius becomes even more challenging for you, okay? So we'll look at that in a moment. But also, here's this other thing, which is, actually, I look at it as very supportive for you, Pisces. It's a big Capricorn kind of blanket that covers the whole month. At the very beginning of the month, we have like this strong Capricorn stellium. Okay, I'll show you in a moment. And at the end of the month, we still have it, but in a different form. So the whole of the month is covered by this big, deep, soft blanket of Capricorn energy for you. Let's go straight to your chart, and it is right here. Kerblam. So as you can see, this is going to be going up after the show is over. All the Tarot Lumination Astrodoodles for November are being shipped up to Christie's auction rooms in New York and London to go to the highest bidder. Probably millions of dollars, okay, by this time. So, okay, let's put you on the horizon over here, all right, Pisces? Now remember, you've got Neptune in Pisces right in the middle right now, about 14 degrees or something. So, that's your ruling planet, which is great to have that on your side. Of course, there's the flip side. As a lot of Pisceans know, it's like when the energies aren't working properly, it's almost like treacherous, almost tragic, sad about when things don't work. When the Neptune energy is, let's say, stressed out or under alignment, it can be some of the hardest energy to handle. It's like somebody who very gently slips into being like, oh, we have a beer every evening, and then a few years later they're a hardcore alcoholic, and a few years later their liver has collapsed and it's over. And things like that. It's the house of self-undoing. It's the energy of self-undoing. Sometimes it's the energy of tragedy. Sometimes Pisceans have this sort of aura of like serene divinity around them, but also sometimes some of the most tragic energies possible in a lifetime for a person. And in some ways it doesn't feel fair. It's like why? Why me? Why Pisces? Well, it's part of the Pisces journey of understanding the divinity of life and the absence of divinity of life. And we don't know that until unless we incarnate as a human being. So we feel it through the polarity of oppositions in life. Okay? So I just wanted to get that like as a preface before we even go into any of this. All right? Okay, here's the fun stuff. Okay? Let's forget about that, because this has been going on so long and so deep, but it is there. Over here, we got the Scorpio new moon. See, that's super exciting fun for you. Leftovers from October, all there in your 9th house. It's like the energy of feeling like uplifted, like there is hope. There are bigger horizons for me. I can see my life and my world from a much bigger, broader perspective now. Maybe communicating with more and more with people from overseas, maybe more people from overseas communicating with you, feeling like a strong urge to become much more knowledgeable, increase your training, your learning, your understanding way above and beyond like what you learned as a kid, and starting to get much more advanced studies and training in your life to, let's say, get yourself more like down to earth and connected with who you are and why you are here on earth. Because this and this are very closely connected right now. All this energy up here at the very pinnacle of your chart, you see this here? This thing right here, that's the midheaven. So your midheaven is surrounded by this powerful Scorpio energy over here, and this a little bit of a challenge energy over here. And it's almost like your reason and purpose for being here is founded on some of the deep, profound things that you learn through the journey as of pain and suffering and deep, profound transformation in your three-dimensional physical life. And everything that you've learned from that, you bring it down to earth as what other people would call wisdom, knowledge, experience, something that you could share. Perhaps, some Pisceans are very artistic through poetry, writing, or just being someone who is an inspiration for others. This is a very inspirational kind of energy, and so sometimes Pisceans are almost, I'm not going to say they are, you are responsibly charged. This is the house of great responsibility here, but with Sagittarius here, you are charged to be very wise. Sometimes the only way to become very wise is to endure intense suffering and deep transformation to come out the other side. So that, in other words, like you learn the hard way, but once you learn the hard way, you have so much wisdom that you can share with others that others would never have a hope of understanding unless you had gone through the journey yourself. So yeah, the new moon up here is a challenge for you to take it to the next level. okay? Become even more of the wise one. Become even more of the person who's lived through it all, living by example, and you know from personal experience, okay? You have the wisdom from having gone through deep, profound transformations, okay? So that's a tremendous gift to the world. I look at this over here. So there's the new moon, all right? It starts here. And then it comes full circle over, not full circle, but halfway round in the middle of the month, November the 12th, when the moon is in Taurus, right over here. And Uranus in Taurus is over here. So my feeling, again, this is a little bit like unstable for you when it comes to like how you would conduct your day-to-day life, how you communicate with others, how other people communicate with you. You might discover in a very kind of awkward way, because remember, Mercury in Scorpio is retrograde. You might discover in very like shocking, weird, awkward, embarrassing ways how easy it is to become very tongue-tied and say the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person for the wrong reason at the wrong place. And then we seriously regret it. And it becomes kind of shocking and awkward, like, uh-oh, what did I just do? So we have to be very careful. My feeling is, as sweet as this is for you, Pisces, it can almost like set you up for a fall where you might, well, like it's almost too sweet and too good, so you could just cruise through this thinking that you're invulnerable, and then you end up with some kind of shocking surprise that you might not want about, uh-oh, oops, gulp, especially in communicating with your friends, your family, your day-to-day people, your just anybody in your day-to-day life, okay? So that's a little problematic, okay? But it's not huge. To me, this is the sweet stuff over here. You see this Capricorn stellium? All month long, this is building and building. And it is in your 11th house of humanity, of you being a gift to humanity, you being there in a very selfless, egoless way, and in any ways that you are not operational at those levels in this part of your life, in your world, you are going to become more and more significant and responsible and capable and valuable to society in this way. It's almost like it becomes your gift, okay? It's a very devotional kind of energy when you put the Pisces Capricorn together like this. It's the energy of it's almost like your gift to humanity is yourself, okay? Just being yourself and being the person who goes through some of the most awful things that people can endure, and then learning from it and coming out and being able to tell the stories about it, okay? You can tell the stories through here, through the Cancer North Node in your 5th house of creative self-expression, for example. So I see this as very, very encouraging and wholesome for you, but it is a long-term shift and change, and it's going to take time for you to grow into this, okay? More and more. And 2020 is going to be very significant for you, Pisces, when it comes to maturation and understanding who you really are in society and the world, and what your real place is in society and humanity, and how much you have to offer. Okay? So let's keep moving. Okay. I'm going to go check. I just want to say hello because that was kind of a heavy reading. I wasn't expecting it. Hey, Pisces. I try to moderate my readings in such a way that they suit the sign a little bit. And I don't dumb things down, but I try to factor in their core nature so I can communicate and relate with them as though I'm one of you guys, okay? And Pisces, you can be extremely, super hypersensitive, but you don't even know it. Some Pisceans carry themselves as very, very, let's say, self-confident or very capable, where in fact, deep inside, they are really super sensitive and suffering. But that's kind of like the Piscean journey anyway. So I try to moderate things for you a little bit, but that was a pretty heavy reading, okay? Even with all the sweet stuff with the Scorpio, the Taurus, and the Capricorn, when I look at the Sagittarius thing, even though you can handle it and it's just something that's going to pass in a few months, you could feel that in a very sensitive, delicate, uncomfortable way. Okay, let's get on with things. We're going to do a relationship spread over here. Love and relationship, we're going to use the Tarot Lumination Crucible spread. It's on the understanding, dear Pisces, that there's you. There is a significant other, and there is this other living thing that is called the relationship itself. Okay? You'll see in a moment in the cards. Bless this deck, bless every single card, bless you Pisces, bless the whole channel and the platform that we can do this, and, the cameras, the lights, and the internet. And the fact that just like we have such privilege to be here to do this at all. Okay? So imagine yourself as a smartphone, okay, dear Pisces, what are you radiating? And allow for the co-star in your story here, what are they radiating? And then what does that turn into when you combine those energies in what's called a relationship? A crucible, by the way, that's a structure, it's a bowl. It's very thick and ceramic, and it's usually in a laboratory where they do very tough, challenging experiments, which is basically like what happens in a human relationship, okay? So the question is, what is the nature of your relationship? What is the nature of your crucible? Okay, is it flexible? Is it well maintained? Is it cracked and broken and miserable? Does it need maintenance? Is it suffering? Let's have a look. Let's have a look, okay? Let's have a look over here. All right. That would be you, dear Pisces. This would be the significant other, and over here would be the relationship itself. Okay, so this is the crucible. I hope you can see that already. And think of it also like a potted plant. What is growing here? It's a living thing. It's always growing and evolving. So what does that look like? Okay, and I like to think of it, if you think of it as a huge terracotta potted plant or something, then it's surrounded by weather, environment, and circumstances. I like to think of it as the planets, but you could think of it as nurture, like with a plant, water, fertilizer, sun, temperature. Everything has to be just right for things to be optimal. Let's have a look. What's going on? With the Ace of Pentacles here. Okay, so this is a card of sacred opportunity, and it's here because you deserve it and you've worked for it, and it's going to be evidential, okay, especially in love and relationship. I see Pentacles as measurable, and love is as love does. On this channel, love is the deliberate choice to willingly go above and beyond and outside your comfort zone as necessary in order to foster the spiritual growth and healing of, number one, yourself, and from there directly to a significant other, and from there to the immediate surroundings around you, and from there to the world around you. And that involves sometimes very tough decisions and doing things that might not be fun or comfortable or easy, but it's still the most loving thing to do. So with the sacred opportunity here, you're surrounded by a chance to kind of almost like completely reformat yourself. So I'm going to go back to this for a second. Remember this really awkward stuff I was talking about here? Well, in contrast, you have this and this and this, which is really supportive and very harmonious for you. So the way I'm looking at it, this is a real opportunity for you, dear Pisces, in the Scorpio season, before you hit the Sagittarius new moon, to take full advantage of this energy. See it as a card of sacred opportunity. It's a real chance for you to upgrade your love life, upgrade your relationship, upgrade your relationships in how you conduct yourself with other people and how you allow other people to conduct themselves with you. Okay, so it involves a lot of responsibility. In other words, being really tough and firm and very honest and direct and responsible and truthful and respectful and patient, okay, and considerate. And that's how you activate the opportunity, okay? Let's have a look. What are you radiating here? Okay, so my feeling is that you kind of already sense this is coming, that this is happening. Like, you know how people, can feel the ebb and flow in their lives, where I think, Pisces, you already knew that this is going to be almost like a reprieve for you, to take advantage of this sweet, good energy here, because it hasn't always been with this thing over here, okay, Neptune and Pisces. It hasn't necessarily been exactly easy for you to be Pisces with this, even though Neptune is your ruling planet. It's very hard to handle or understand or integrate Neptune energy at the highest frequencies, okay? So my feeling is that deep down, you knew this was coming, you knew this was coming in your depth of souls, and you know that the challenges are here, and so you're seeing it all as literally a fated moment of sacred opportunity, and that you're going to grab it, and that you have to grab it, and that it's really, really good for you. And once this moment has passed, it is gone forever. And so you have to see it as a moment of intense, measurable good fortune. This is measurable, okay? It's evidence in your life. You will know it and see it and sense it somewhere in your life in terms of love and relationship. And so with the Wheel of Fortune here, you understand that because nature in itself is always in a state of ebb and flow, as we intimate and separate. We intimate and separate, sometimes in sweet, delicious harmony, sometimes in tragic, unending pain. Whatever it is, it goes up when it's down. And this is a moment where, with the new moon, it's cresting upward and upward and upward for you in a way that is very beneficial to you, and then you take full advantage of it, and then you integrate that into your life and your world, and then you move into the Sagittarius energy prepared, okay? In other words, you cannot waste this. You cannot waste this sacred opportunity. You could look at it this way. So many planets, with the Taurus, the Scorpio, and the Capricorn, so many planets and energies are lined up for you. Earth, air, fire, water, everything, whatever you want to call it, okay? So that's good. So part of it is like knowing that you're vulnerable to the ups and downs because you are so sensitive, but also knowing that you're in one of the up moments, and so you're going to make the very best of it while it lasts. What about the other over here? Okay. There's part of me that feels like there are certain people who might not appreciate this. Like sometimes Pisces, you know how it's so easier for you to be taken advantage of, and people factor that into the relationship, and then when you start to grow and mature and come more and more and more into your own power, in some ways, you can become a threat to a significant other, okay? Especially if some certain significant others have been kind of riding on your back, or taking advantage of your susceptibility and your fluidity and your divinity. And then when you kind of grow into your selfhood and blossoming further and further into your own strength, where your sense of identity and worthiness and loving and being loved is not contingent upon the other person, it's from you, from the deep inside, that can be a problem for a significant other, because they might be used to having things like codependency or some kind of, let's say, unhealthy aspect in life and love and relationship that benefits them at your expense. That would be a classic Piscean type of scenario, but it could also happen on with Pisces in ways that they don't even know it's happening until you start to come into your power. It's almost like the more and more and more you grab your opportunity and take full advantage of it, the more resistance that you're going to feel, because wait a minute, that doesn't work for me, because I have my own interests at stake, which are factored upon the dysfunctions of relationship that happen to work in my favor. Okay, so Pisces, that's what I'm sensing here in terms of like warning signs to be very, very careful. I don't think they mean any kind of deliberate harm, because my feeling is that they are not fully evolved enough to understand what is happening with you, and they would have to get their own reading for their own chart to understand how they're relating to you and why this would not be necessarily a healthy or welcome way to have a loving relationship. In other words, it's like it's almost like they are intent on proving their superiority and righteousness, even if they are, let's say, out of alignment with the flow of love and nature, okay? Simply because it doesn't suit them, okay? Now, if you want to interpret this more aggressively or more negatively, you can do that, Pisces, depending on your specific situation. I don't want to go too dark with this, but I'm just letting you know that I sensed a bit of a challenge here for you. Okay? And I hope it makes sense given what we talked about earlier in the reading. What about the core itself here? Okay, so I think this is part of the energy of sacred opportunity here. There's a lot of energy of sacred opportunity, and I think a lot of that is to do with the sacred geometry. These kind of alignments don't happen every day. This is humongous, this is huge, and this is big, okay? And when it gets polarized here, that's big too. So this is really good for you. This is really good for you, and this will be really good for you. So much so that it almost sets things to a state of imbalance when it comes to relationship where, like I said, it can be a little bit of a problem for them. And so from your perspective, as you live through this, you might be thinking, oh my God, I've never thought of love and life and relationship from these kind of perspectives before. I had no idea. I was completely clueless. The relationship itself was completely clueless because you didn't know, they didn't know, and so you end up with a relationship that doesn't know. And what's going to happen here is that this is where you get the energy of, okay, this is the 9th house, which is ruled by Jupiter, hint, hint, the Sagittarius energy, and this is the 10th house, ruled by, Saturn and Capricorn. But for you, Pisces, it's you have to honor the Sagittarius energy. So what my feeling here with the Fool card is you end up in a relationship dynamic where you're almost caught off your guard and you're going completely into the unknown, okay? And when we talk about that, the unknown, okay, when you look at the polarities here, it's always to do with relationship when you talk about a polarization like that. So you might come to the realization at the full moon, like, oh my God, I had absolutely no idea that relationships dynamics included the kind of things that we're talking about here on this reading. That doesn't mean it's good or it's bad. It just means like there was just no awareness at all. And so you end up looking at life and love and world and relationships from a completely new perspective that you've never known before, that changes your life and love the way that you've never imagined before. In some ways that might be disturbing, but also on a need-to-know basis that you really need to know about this stuff, okay? And then you become wiser, and then that wisdom can be shared with the world, okay? So that's good, but this is, to me, feels like a very much like an oh gulp moment, like OMG moment in the chapter of your life. Like there's so much sweet stuff happening, but in the background you can see like, oh my God, it's lucky I've got this. It's lucky I've got this. While these other very, very subtle, treacherous things are going on in the background that I didn't even know were treacherous to begin. Okay, let's have a look. What's blossoming here? Okay, so this brings everything into, to me, it's almost like harmony, where you get to see the ebb and flow in love and relationship in physical realities. You get to see the ups and the downs, like the moments in time in relationship where you have been extremely needy, perhaps very dependent, so maybe like in a codependency situation, and then you flip it around where it's sometimes where you have been with someone who is extremely codependent and their welfare is it's almost like their life is dependent on you, or whether your life is completely dependent on the other. And there's a huge difference between having codependency in a relationship where like dysfunction is feeding off of dysfunction. You are enabling their dysfunction and they're enabling your dysfunction, and things just get worse and worse and worse. And that's very different from interdependency, where you have what's like what would be a mutually supportive relationship, where you would be with a significant other who truly has your ultimate welfare at the core and the heart of their soul, and you would be relating with someone else where you have their welfare at the core and the heart of your soul. Whereas with codependency, it's very different. It's much more like dysfunction, hanging out with dysfunction, and then you end up like those people who are screaming and yelling in the middle of the street, and they end up being alcoholics together, and they still love each other intensely, but it's just like a mess that just gets worse and worse into a mess, okay? So you have to be very, very careful here. I think this is a huge opportunity for you, Pisces, as a learning experience in a way that, oh my God, I've never thought about it this way before. But it's beautiful in some ways because this is what you need to know now. And you can see relationships from both sides, like all the abundance and the beautiful things that can happen in love and life and relationship when you are healthy and when you are in the zone. And then you get to see it like when it's not working, when it's unhealthy. And you need to know that. You might have just been completely blind and oblivious, but now is your time to become aware. And the only way sometimes is to head completely into the unknown. So with the radical awakenings that are happening here for you, where you come to realize the difference between codependency and interdependency. Like interdependency, you are supportive. It's like it's a mutual support relationship. Codependency is just the opposite. So that is very much thank you to the Uranus and Taurus over here down in your third house. So please see this full moon as a blessing, okay? Even though it might bring up some things that are shocking to you or were never apparent to you before in life and love and relationship, okay? Let's put this aside. I'm not going to say anything more. You can reinterpret that however you want. Okay, let's tuck this over here. I'm going to put this over here. Now we're going to go straight on to a situational spread. This is like a sniper bullet diagnostic device. It goes straight to the core of whatever is like a matter of deep significance for you during this season, okay? Hello, Found in Wonderland. I see you. Hello, Tammy Payton. Whoa. You know what? The other day, I can't remember what sign it was, but it was one of the signs, okay? Whoever it was, I don't know. But almost everybody who showed up was from that sign. And now you're saying all you Pisces people are here. To me, that's freaky. That's like super hyper synchronicity. That's almost to the point of synchrodipity. That's how extreme it is. Wow. Thank you. Okay, let's have a look. Let's see. You'll see what happens. This is the same spread that we use on Sunday Night Lives, okay? We just get kind of straight and blunt to the point. They use this in the Situation Room over at the White House. And I am, of course, the secret reader that nobody knows about for the White House. But don't tell anybody. I'm not supposed to reveal. Damn it, I just blew my cover. I hope they don't catch me. I hope the, CIA doesn't come here, or the FBI isn't gonna, stalk me now or shut me down. No, it's not allowed. Okay, that's good. Let's cut it up, people. Actually, no, I want to do another. Beautiful. That's what I wanted to see. There we go. Here we go. Let's do this, cut it all up. This deck has done thousands of readings. And it's still almost like new. I can't believe it. I just like some decks fall apart so fast, but this deck is more or less like new. I just don't get it. Okay, here we go. Here's the situation, dear Pisces. Here's the challenges, and here's how we're going to handle it. Okay, we'll just take a look. Okay, I'm going to look at the weather again. Environmental influences, circumstances, whatever they are, you will recognize them immediately, Pisces. I like to look at it as the planets. Call it the weather. So we have the Fool. Wow, that's interesting. Ooh, okay. To me, this is like a huge warning sign. Okay, not in a very, very, very like tragic like way. This is like a very warning, a very very subtle. This is a warning, Pisces, about like you from your just naturally being a Pisces, how extremely vulnerable you are to the, let's say, the betrayals and the deceptions and the lies and the illusions and the optical illusions of life and world and everything, not just relationships but everything. And because of Mercury retrograde, my feeling is that even though it's harmonious with you, it's like, to me this is like, be extremely careful for this month, dear Pisces, because anything and everything could happen. It's almost like it's a wild card. It's literally like the wild card. It's almost letting you know, dear Pisces, this is very beneficial for you. This is very supportive for you. This is very supportive for you. And you might feel like, oh, everything's just fine. I'm just going to take it for granted. So I don't actually have to work too much to get through November. I'll just cruise through on the beautiful comfort of a magic carpet. Ding, 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 ding. Be aware that you're heading into the unknown, okay? Okay? There is going to be new learning, new wisdom here, especially by the middle of the month, and you're going to have to make full use of it, because you do not want to be caught off guard towards the end of the month, okay? So some of the things and the challenges that I feel you might be going through during this month could be very subtle, to the point where you're not even aware that you're getting into trouble when you're getting into trouble. You wouldn't even know it's happening. And so the beautiful thing, of course, is just like, go for it anyway. Live your life anyway. Just trust in the process. Trust in the great beyond. Trust in the sacred geometry of the planets. But also be aware. Be acutely aware, so that you don't trip up and fall while you're having such a wonderful time. Okay? Okay, let's have a look. What's the situation? Okay. So with the King of Wands here, my feeling is that, okay, you're not going to like this really, Pisces, but it makes me feel as though you're going to feel in some ways on top of the world, because you have so many supportive planets and so much supportive energy, okay? You've got so much good stuff happening for you, technically speaking, with the astrology. And that can be very uplifting. It can put you in a position where, like, wow, I really do feel on top of the world. I really feel as though I have matured. I have come into my most optimal self possible in years and years and years. And this is happening right now. But what I'm also suggesting and sensing here is, like, we have to be very careful, Pisces, that you don't let it go to your head. Where you think it's almost like, wow, I'm so amazing because it's me, and so you don't want to end up with the sort of like a king complex or a narcissist complex, or where like you really are superior. You just have to be very, very careful. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with the King of Wands. Okay, it's like the card of really strong leadership. But you also have to be careful that you don't get carried away with the whole idea of being an amazing leader, because there's so much leadership energy that is being highlighted for you at this time of the year. So you just have to be aware of that, all right? Especially when it comes to having leadership in the community. You do not want to become an egomaniac in the community, because people don't dig that. What they want is like almost like just like the energy of like the egoless king, the egoless leader, forget the gender, the egoless monarch, okay? Where you are an inspiration, but it's not an ego trip, okay? So this to me looks like it's beautiful energy, but you have to be very careful. With great power and opportunity comes great responsibility. What are the challenges here? Okay. So there are going to me it feels like there's going to be moments of extreme doubt, where you're going to look in the mirror, and it could be almost like one of those people who have, what do they call it, like an eating disorder, where they are incredibly skinny. I forgot what it's called, but they look in the mirror and they see themselves as like really fat and ugly. And then it's just like, it's not true. It's an optical illusion. And then some people who are like in America, for example, you have a lot of people who have obesity issues and they can't control it because of the way our society works and the diets and the healthcare work. We're not aware of what a problem it is. And so my feeling is the challenge is that Pisces might not be aware of their own disparities. Like there might be a distortion in the self-image here, where you're not seeing yourself as you really are, in your magnanimity, in your sacred opportunity here, and the abundance that's there for you. And it's like the real challenge is like, oh God, I'm feeling so many weird energies with this. Like, it's like people who dive deep into retail therapy to try and cover up a serious problem. They try to smother themselves in material, let's say, abundance to compensate for a sense of hollowness and being lost. So my feeling here is these things could be exposed to you during the month, where you get a glimpse of your sacred opportunity and your chance to flourish and blossom and grow. But it would be so easy to misinterpret or get a distorted self-image that it almost undermines all the opportunity and you wouldn't even know. So that's very hard energy to handle. I mean, it's a beautiful card in its own right, but the way I'm feeling it here is that this is really hard to handle. So how are we going to deal with it? Okay. Poise, elegance, patience, discrimination. Being very discriminating, be very thoughtful, conscientious, very careful in how you carry your energy. With the Temperance card here, the way to handle this month, because it's almost like with so much good opportunity coming for you, so much stuff on your side, it could easily turn into like an orgy of self-indulgence, and then everything backfires and turns into like a sick, poopy mess, and you don't want that. And so my feeling here, the way to get through November is the art of living, like the art of moderation, self-care, deep self-love. In other words, if you're tired from having too much fun, you still need to take a nap, take a rest. If you have been overindulgent, or if you have been like a serious enabler for someone else and it's not healthy, it's not working, we have to dial that back. If you have been taken advantage of, you have to find ways to bring yourself back into harmony, so you get yourself back into sovereignty and selfhood, and you don't suffer, so that you don't suffer the things that could go wrong, like, because there's so much at stake here that's so much good for you, and but again, you're the Pisces and you're so vulnerable and at risk for things to like unwittingly fall apart, even though you're doing your best efforts. And so my feeling here is to understand that you're potentially very vulnerable. So how do you deal with that? You have to be extremely careful. In other words, with so much abundance, with so much sacred opportunity, so much sacred geometry in your favor, that's almost like obscene. And then you kind of like if you overindulge in it, that's not healthy. If you so you have to be very, very conscientious. This is a powerful card of healing, normally, as I see it. But in this, I see it as the art of living. And one of the most important arts of living is making very, very thoughtful, loving, conscientious decisions about what is the most loving thing for you, first of all. Number one is you, Pisces. You are number one in your life, okay? And then making sure that that is appropriate for the significant others in your life. And if they can't handle it, that's their problem, okay? It's not your problem, okay, Pisces? So let's move on. I want to wrap this up with one oracle for you. You'll see in a moment here. Okay? Hey Lena, I see you. We just did, I think it was Virgo earlier today. The Virgo should be fully processed right now within the last half an hour, and it is on the channel right now, as far as I know. Hello Tammy Payton, thank you for being here. You just came across the channel, so this is all like brand new for you. That's cool. That's great. I have a feeling I've seen you before, Found in Wonderland. Hey, Found in Wonderland, just so you know, I'm left-handed, so I shuffle this way. If I was right-handed, I'd probably try to shuffle that way, but it doesn't feel comfortable for me, so I just stick to with what works. There you go. So this is just going to be a single card oracle. It's a message from Spirit about how to get yourself back into the frequency of Spirit, okay? Which shouldn't be that hard for you, Pisces. Excuse me. Let's see what this looks like. Excuse me, I don't do jumpers and flyers and reversals. Okay, that's good. That's good. Now we're going to cut it up for you, okay? Here we go. Let's do this. Like so. And then like so. And so. And so. And let's have a look. Over here we have innocence. Okay? Innocence. Innocence. And I'd like to add a little bit of vulnerability. Vulnerability. Okay? It's a beautiful imagery. This is fractal art. It's made with computers and powerful softwares. Okay? It looks a bit trippy, doesn't it? If you kind of look like it, like you're zooming into like a long, deep corridor into one of those time tunnels. You see? Okay, let's get the book here. I'm just going to read from the book for you, okay? Hold on, I've almost got... There it is. Here it is. All right. All right, it says here... So this is for you, Pisces. It's a message from Spirit. Too often, we carry around the extra baggage of guilt and shame. This card has come to you today because it is time to release these feelings. The universe sees your innocence and is asking you to begin to see it too. These long-held beliefs are buried within your core, and they are interfering with your progression. It's time to release any shame you carry about who you are, or guilt over actions you did or did not do. These old values only lead you to question whether you are good enough, deserving, or worthy. What if I had done more? What if I had been more? What if I hadn't done that? Why did I say that or do that to that person? They make you question if you, as a person, are enough. But the universe sees you with the same eyes we see a child with. You are perfect in every way. As perfect as a child learning through the mistakes that they make. Only ever really wanting love and approval. It's that simple. You need to see your own innocence, Pisces, no matter what you may have done or when. This is the first step to healing your heart and spirit. It is a necessary step in moving forward and claiming your place in this world. The innocence card may also come if it is time to see the innocence in another person. It's important to delve below the surface of any feelings of anger, hurt, or disappointment. Within your heart, allow yourself to see the innocence in the other person's actions or behaviors. This can bring profound healing and may even help you to see your own innocence. Spirit is calling you to begin to see your innocence and divine perfection. This one simple act will allow the seeds of self-forgiveness and self-love to blossom within. Okay, I'd like to add a little tiny something to this. Sometimes that's very hard to do. So what I'm suggesting is for Pisces, you would add an invocation here. dear angels, dear invisible friends, dear guardians, dear spirit guides, dear loved ones from the great beyond at the highest frequencies who have my best interests at heart, please help me to understand and learn my innocence, okay? Please show me examples. Please bring me the opportunities, the situations, the dynamics where I can learn exactly what was talked about in that book. Please, thank you, dear invisible friends. So it is spoken, so it is done. Okay? Dear Pisces, I felt I had to add that little bit on the end there, otherwise you might have felt as if you were at a bit of a loose end, like, okay, Tarot Lumination, thanks. Well, how am I supposed to do that? It's great what you're reading, but how am I supposed to do that? So I added that little bit on the end. It's an invocation. You literally ask for it. It's like a little prayer, really, if you want. You ask for the healing power of love to fill your life from up above regarding the subject of innocence. Please bring me an example of what I need to know and give me a sign that this is an example so I know it and I feel it in my being, my body, mind, heart, and soul. Thank you. That's how you do it, okay? So let's leave it at that. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to start wrapping this up, people. And then this is all going to be processed and you can see it online in an hour or two after it's finished processing on YouTube, okay? So there we go. Thank you very much, Pisces. It's been a pleasure. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to put a little bit of giving myself a chance in the background here to shuffle this up and tuck everything away. And we'll see you again soon.